Evening. So I wanted to talk about the narcissists and how they're non-human. A lot of people talk about that, and I did kind of like several videos on that, but it made me think. There's this movie out called it's called They Live, and it was from like 1988 or something like that, and it was about, I think Roddy Piper was in it, and it was about he finds these glasses that he puts on that are like, maybe, I don't know if they're from like CIA or something, but anyway, it's an old movie. And then when he put the glasses on, he could see different things, like the billboards didn't say what they said. They would say obey and all this evil stuff. And it would also show like that certain people were not people, but they were aliens posing as people. And during the movie, they found out that what was keeping them under the cloak of people, the secrecy, was that there was this frequency, and they had I think they had to take out that frequency tower or something, and it made everybody see the imposters for who they were. And so it's interesting because the guy who directed it and wrote it, and he called it a documentary, not a movie. And the guy has like an interesting background, and it was almost like that he was telling you the truth to some degree. And so there's some people in this platform that actually have talked on this a little bit, just, and so I wanted to see the movie, and so I actually bought the DVD on Amazon or something. It was like a few years ago, once I woke up to this stuff. And it's pretty interesting because, just like what I saw in the spirit realm, in that showed itself, the spirit realm that showed in the physical, for me, it was kind of like I saw like the Scream mask, and some other things. And with that, it's kind of weird. It makes you wonder if, like the narcissist, could they just be to a point to where once they give up on love, they don't even need to be possessed or something, because they just become equal to it. And almost like at some point, we're always talking about frequencies and vibrations. Is it really possible that there is some kind of frequency that is admitted or something? Because it's like they ride on the same vibration, and they all do like the same thing, and it's almost like they're controlled by the same entity or something. So if you have you have fallen angels, and then you have people that sold their souls or whatever, and then you have demonic entities. But typically in the Bible, demonic entities would be, what I remember is typically outside of Legion, I think they typically were people that had sicknesses. And it seemed as if any and every demon could be cast out, right, in the Bible, in the New Testament. Some were harder, and some Jesus would say that you had to fast a lot and pray hard, or be more fervent with your prayer, and fasting was part of, what it would take to cast certain demons out, right? But even Legion, it's almost like, did he have a psychological issue? Yeah, but maybe it was like to the point to where it wasn't like he wanted or liked who he was. To where, see, the narcissist, they like who they are. They enjoy this. A lot of people will say they don't, but they do. Do you see them in their grandiose self, right? And yes, they act miserable, but that doesn't mean that, and they are shame-based. But as much as they're always putting on an act, and as much as they You can't operate like they operate and not have control over you. But if they had demons in them, which they talk about the Jezebel and all that, the Leviathan, yeah, but how come they can't be cast out? And people would say, well, because they like who they are, and that's kind of true and all, but I think what could be happening is, I don't know, I'm really interested on the etiology of how this stuff began, because there's a lot of people that talk like they're just not human, and that's how I feel. Like, they're not human, y'all. It's like there's a different interbreeding species that is causing all these troubles, right? And then we blame each other. Humanity blames each other when we have these individuals that are like cloaked as us, but they're not like us. I don't know. It was just interesting, like, that they don't tell you anything. It's just kind of weird. Because it's like they're the embodiment of what a demon would be, but they're in the current form, to where a demon would be like the past form. It's like when you give up on love, you almost become demonic by nature, is my point. So you don't really need to have demons in you. It's almost like you, maybe what happens is, like, you can give up on love, and then that area of your brain just shuts down, right? So it's never able to be used anymore. Like, the blood's cut off, and so you can't use that area of your brain. Maybe that's why, like, a lot of times when they get to a point where they rage out and you're trying to deal with stuff with them, and they just don't know how to answer it. It's almost like, well, their brain can't even function the correct way. So that's why they have to run in cycles and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I don't even know what I'm trying to get out here, but it just seems like they're kind of like permanent type possession, because they just became the embodiment of it. And what I saw was evil faces and stuff, but I guess they could be in them and on them and all over them. I don't know how that works, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's almost like when you give up on love, you get on this vibration frequency, and then you're kind of like connected up through a Wi-Fi, as like under the control of the enemy, just like as the Matrix, it's like the frequency of the Matrix frequency. And so you're almost like really like a soulless portal. So you may have entities that currently live in you as the narcissist, but then with that frequency, it's kind of like wherever they need to get, they can just like port up into those people if they need to use them, because they're soulless portals. It's kind of like, with the Mr. Smith thing and Mr. Anderson. Anytime Smith needed to show up, there was soulless portals there that they could show up and be, or non-player characters, so to speak. It's almost like they have the ability to be used at any time. Like, so if they're not currently used, when they do need them, they just pop up in them, and then they could pop back out or whatever. I don't know. Just an interesting thought. Because I don't know, just the whole idea of, they wear a mask like the enemy. They can't be delivered. And there's no cases of any of them getting better. But then they were born in and through humanity. And it seems as if they were born this way. Like, it starts so early that everybody went through trauma. So it's almost like anybody could have the stamp of trauma put on them, And there's so many of them It's like every family unit almost has narcissism dealing with it. I mean, unless it's like some sort of like a bloodline from like the seed of Cain, or from the Nephilim bloodline watered down. But then how did some of us in the family get, caught up in it and some of us didn't? That's the interesting thing. But some of us have broken homes where we have like, half brothers and sisters and, different fathers. So that in itself is interesting. And then somebody put forth, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but somebody put forth, something where like women might be, because they're the egg, and then the male has the sperm or whatever. So it's like, is the woman, does that encapsulate the body of the human, and then the nervous system come from the father? But that's, when you look into it, that's not true at all. But it's an interesting thought. I don't know. It's just something that I'm trying to figure out, because there's more to this. You can't just be born at that corrupt level. I really believe that they're born at this level already. It's really weird. But like I said, we are who we are almost innately when we're born, And so do you just automatically take on who you're gonna be as who you are already? Outside of salvation, if you're gonna be evil, you're gonna be evil. If you're gonna be good and you're gonna want Christ, you're gonna come up and then you're gonna find Christ, or you're gonna cry out to Christ, and it's a free gift. So you got to get to a point where your heart's right. So that's interesting in itself. Anyway, just a ramble, y'all. Peace, we out.